Join Eleanor and I as we travel from Cork back to Pittsburgh for Christmas. We started our day at 5 a.m. in Ireland, and the earliest train from Cork to Dublin leaves at 5:40, so we caught that train and arrived in Dublin just after 8 a.m. There's also a bus that goes straight from Cork to the Dublin airport, but I don't think that they allow dogs, and they definitely wouldn't allow Eleanor to be out of her carrier, so I like to take the train because Eleanor can get out of her backpack and sit on my lap. The train from Cork doesn't go to the Dublin airport, so we took another taxi from the train station in Dublin to the airport. Now, we arrived at the Dublin airport around 9 a.m., and our flight was scheduled to leave at 10:45. The woman at the counter told me that I needed to literally run to my gate, and that there was going to be a very long line in customs. And I was a little bit worried, but also confused because it seemed like there was still a significant amount of time before the flight left. Thankfully, all of the lines were short, and we made it to our gate with plenty of time to spare. The Dublin airport is nice because you can go through U.S. customs there, so then when you land in the U.S., you don't have to do anything. It's basically the same as if a domestic flight lands in the U.S. The first leg of the flight from Dublin to New York was 7.5 hours. I passed the time by watching a few movies and reading a dystopian book series. Eleanor is usually completely silent on airplanes, but this flight was really long for her, so she decided to use her voice for the last hour of the flight and bark until I opened her bag and pet her. So I spent most of the last hour of the flight bent over petting Eleanor as inconspicuously as possible. I was very happy for us to finally arrive in New York and get off the first plane. I have an Irish phone plan now, so my phone was only working in the US if I was on Wi-Fi, which was a bit confusing at first, so I checked the flight board before purchasing a snack, but then I ended up heading in the wrong direction to my gate, so we had to backtrack. This was my first time being in the JFK airport. Our second leg of the flight was delayed by about 30 minutes, so we arrived early at the gate, and Eleanor wanted to sit on my lap before getting back into her carrier for the final leg of the journey. Thankfully, the second flight was much shorter than the first one. It was less than 2 hours, and we were back in Pittsburgh. Since leaving in August, Pittsburgh finished building this new section of the airport, which was cool to see. Eleanor was very happy to go outside, and then my mom picked us up and took us home. We arrived home a little after 5 p.m. in Pittsburgh, which would have been about 17 hours after we left Cork that morning. Even though it was a super long day of travel, it was really awesome 2 weeks to be at home for Christmas and totally worth all of the flying.